Welcome back, Truth Seekers. This is Athanasius. And no, this is not a weekly vlog. This is a little special presentation that I had been stewing on for some time now, but I believe that it's finally time to speak out on this subject, especially in light of more recent statements of what Hillary Clinton has said. It's been an ongoing issue with Hillary Clinton with her emails, the security clearance, and the unsecured server. And last night, if anybody watched the forum on NBC, there was an incident where a Navy veteran confronted Hillary straight on about this issue. And for those that have not heard this exchange, let me go ahead and play that clip for you right now.
As a naval flight officer, I held a top secret, sensitive, compartmentalized information clearance, and that provided me access to materials and information highly sensitive to our warfighting capabilities. Had I communicated this information not following prescribed protocols, I would have been prosecuted and imprisoned. Secretary Clinton, how can you expect those such as myself, who were and are entrusted with America's most sensitive information, to have any confidence in your leadership as president when you clearly corrupted our national security?
What we have here is the use of an unclassified system by hundreds of people in our government to send information that was not marked. There were no headers. There was no statement, top secret, secret, or confidential. I communicated about classified material on a wholly separate system. I took it very seriously.
Well, Mrs. Clinton, apparently you didn't really take it all that seriously, as your server is found in the bathroom of a makeshift shop. That's not the purpose of this video here, ladies and gentlemen. The purpose of this video is I'm going to give you a little bit of a insider scoop on the world of classifications. As some of you know through my previous talks, I openly admit that I am a veteran. I served active duty over 6 years, and I am still currently in the reserves. I came into the service with a secret clearance, and I have since then been upgraded to top secrets, sensitive compartmentalized information, otherwise known as TSSCI. The world of classifications is of classification ratings of sensitive materials, of security clearances, is a very strict world. Simple mistakes could land you in possibly losing your security clearance to going to prison over it. And so I want to talk about my experiences and my perceptions on Hillary Clinton's lies and misstatements, half-truths, all that, and give you guys an insider look on what is really going on with security clearance, and to help you guys better understand when she's telling the truth, when she's not telling the truth, and so you can argue this with other people that take her side and try to say this is not a big issue. So let's go ahead and look at one of the biggest thing from that clip there. Papers were not marked classified. The world of the security clearance, the world of sensitive material, there is no good reason for sensitive material to not be classified something, whether it's confidential, for official use only, secret, top secret, it doesn't matter. There is always something, some sort of mark, some sort of indication to let you know at what level that this information is considered. It has been proven in the past through emails between Hillary and some of her aides about whitewashing the headers off of security documents so she can send the information securely on her server, and she'll also receive as well. What those classifications do is they not only tell the user if they have access to that information or not, but they also, if you put them through a normal government server, it will trip certain functions within, say, Outlook or whatever other email server they're using to check and make sure that if this information is marked a certain way, that it has to have proper encryption to be able to send it. To give you an example of this, I was a recruiter for the military, and we dealt a lot in PII, personal information, but the people that we were recruiting into the Navy, civilians. In order for me to send any sort of PII, and that could include anything from the name, birthday, social security of the person to medical records, in order for me to send any of that stuff across a email, I had to use only military servers. I could not use any sort of civilian, personal, Gmail, Hotmail, Rocketmail, none of that. It had to be strictly military computers, military servers that I could send information on. When I attached it to the email, I had to ensure that the email was then encrypted. I had to click an extra button to encrypt the email to be able to send that information securely. And I know this because there's been more than a couple times that I got chewed out for not clicking that secure button. Now, I'm just talking about simple stuff, just simple, names, birthdays, social security numbers that would be a big enough headache for the person if it ever got leaked out or ever got hijacked. For material of a more sensitive nature, you can't even send it through a normal email server or even through the regular internet. There are actually systems in place that they're separate, if you will, internets. They're separate web systems, separate servers strictly for secret, top secret information. And I know this for a fact because when I was stationed on one of my ships in Combat Center, there was a normal laptop that you could pull up the regular news. You could get the regular Navy email, but then there was the SIPRNet, the secret internet, and that was strictly guarded. The laptop was always monitored. You couldn't check it out of the room. It had to stay there. Whenever we would have dignitaries come on board the ship, it was always put away, ensured that nobody other than on the ship really knew of its existence, where it was. So when it came time to, say, pass along certain classified information or to talk secretly between ships, we would use that computer. Now, for Hillary to say that, again, that there's no headers, there's no classifications, it's not only flat wrong, but also the fact that when you look at the fact that she was using her own homegrown server, not the non-government server, that alone is felonious. If, as I said before, if I had done any of the things that she did, if I had sent even one secret email on an unsecured server, even if it was a normal Navy line, the fact that it was not a secret line, the fact that it was not a secret computer, I would have been investigated. I probably would have lost my clearance or come pretty damn close to it. And depending on how sensitive the information is, I may have been facing prison time for it. So the fact that she can sit there and try to say that she didn't have any headers is false, because everything is marked something. Then the other fact that she was using a non-government server to pass emails along, and the fact that she had these sensitive emails, these classified emails on her server, again, so she broke the law. There's also the whole thing about destroying the emails. The reason why we conduct our business through these official government emails, and the military has theirs, and the State Department has theirs, and all the agencies have their own email and computer servers. The reason why we conduct them is for Freedom of Information Act. And for investigations and so forth, we are required to maintain our communications whenever we use that server. Even if we go into, say, our Outlook and we delete emails from our inbox because we're only allowed a certain amount of space to hold emails, it still wouldn't matter because the server automatically backs up the emails that we sent and received, and it keeps a copy of them, regardless, if we deleted them or not. By having your own server, she therefore had the option to not only try to hide from any Freedom of Information Acts or any investigations, but she also could use unauthorized, it's unauthorized for the military systems, the servers and so forth, but could use programs like BleachBit to wipe her information clean so nobody could get to it. You can't put any unauthorized programs onto the servers. There was a big issue where somebody had used a personal thumb drive and just plugged it right into the machine there, and it just so happened to have a virus that was hidden on it. Unbeknownst to the person, it had jumped on there from his personal computer, but as soon as he plugged it into our system, it caused mass havoc and immediately wrote onto the servers within that unit, and they had to shut it all down. They had to basically wipe everything and start anew just to get rid of this virus. So it doesn't matter if it's a thumb drive. It doesn't matter if you go to like Google or CNET or one of these other sites where you can try to download a program onto your computer there. None of that is allowed whatsoever. If you get caught doing that, if you got using a thumb drive or plugging any other unauthorized, even your phone, you can't even plug in your phone to charge. It's that serious. You cannot plug any unauthorized device into the computer. You cannot download any unauthorized program or app onto the computer. In order for you to do so, you have to get clearance from so many levels of bureaucracy and military security that you almost begin to wonder, do I really want to do this? If you are caught doing it and they're able to trace it back to you, or let's say you get caught with your phone plugged in, or let's say the virus gets uploaded and they're somehow able to trace it back to you, it's a court-martial offense. You will more than likely use your security clearance. You will probably be barred from ever using a military computer ever again in any sort of official capacity, or without being monitored up the yin-yang, and you're probably going to get kicked out, and then depending on the severity of it, you may also face prison time. Again, I'm being very dead serious with you on this. That this is not something to screw around with. The other thing about the classification... Oh, shoot, I should talk about this. I'm sorry, I forgot about this. But the classification she was talking about where she saw the C's next to things, I thought that was just alphabetical paragraphs. No. We do not use alphabetical paragraphs at all whenever we use any sort of like paragraph, subparagraph, those sort of things. It always starts with a number. So because we have, like in this case, C for confidential is what she was saying. Oh, it's no. There was always going to be like a C, an S, a TS, FUO for official, FOUO for official use only. There's never going to be a paragraph, subparagraph system where you start with a letter. It does not happen. It will not happen in order to create confusion. And I know because I've written a number of instructions on my first ship, because it was a newly commissioned ship and I was put in charge of a program that basically had to be built from the ground up. So every instruction, every manual, everything, I had to write myself. And so I'm very familiar with this process. Never once did I ever have a paragraph or a subparagraph start with anything other than a number. The other thing, too, about her job specifically is that at her level, her position as the Secretary of State, she had the ability to classify documents based upon the sensitivity of the information. And where this comes into play is that to ensure that information not being passed around on through unauthorized means, they have the powers delegated to those that are in charge of whether it's a ship, whether it's a State Department or other governmental facility, to be able to say that, okay, this material is sensitive enough to where we can't send it over in regular means. We have to use the secret network. To give you an example, on all the ships that I've been on, anytime that there's a repair or critical system, whether it be a weapon system, a radar system, or any other system that goes down, the captain would always ensure that we were sending it via secret means, because if that information were to ever get hacked, if that information were to ever fall into the wrong hands, it would have potentially leaked not just sensitive, but also damning or hurtful or harmful information. If let's just say the Iranians, if the Iranians were ever to find out, like say for example, that one of our gun systems, one of our weapon systems was not working, they could take it upon themselves to take advantage of that and come and attack us. The fact that we have to be so diligent in ensuring that we do not leak any of that information out is more of a matter of not compromising our safety while we're out there on the high seas. And I'm pretty darn sure, I'm 99.99999% sure that the rest of the services and even the government is like that as well. Hillary thinks she's above the law, so that's why she thinks that she's so different. Another thing as well is that when it comes to her losing, and I've heard anywhere from 11 to 13 to 15 cell phones and 5 iPads. Anytime we check out any sort of electronic material that like whether it's a cell phone, a computer, anything that handles communications or the storing of material, we have to not only sign for it, but they track, the serial number, who owns it, and when it was turned back in to them. If you were to lose that piece of equipment, there is immediately an investigation to find out where did it go. Again, going back to my personal experience, there was an incident on my first ship where the radio room, which had control of the ship's satellite phone, had lost it. They didn't know where it was. And so for about a day and a half, the radio room turned everything upside down. They pulled out every record. Who touched it last? Did they sign it back in? Who received it? They looked through. They combed over everything with a gnat's hair comb to ensure that the phone had not been stolen and had not been mistakenly destroyed or fallen overboard or anything like that. The phone was eventually found. I think what happened was somebody had it on the edge of a table instead of putting it away properly, and then he went to go walk, and then the ship took a bad roll, and the thing ended up slipping into the crack between the desk and the bulkhead, the wall. Because of that incident, though, okay, everybody that was in that shop immediately had to be retrained on how to properly secure sensitive information, material, so forth. They had to be retrained. They had to sign that they had taken the training. They had to sign even more papers to understand why this, what would happen if this ever happened again. I think the person that received the phone and then didn't put it away, they sent him up the captain's mast. And I don't think he got anything negative really against him. It was more like a scare tactic to scare the bejeebus out of him that, if this ever happens again, I will have no mercy on your soul. Don't ever let this happen again. And to set an example for the rest of the team to never let sensitive material like that ever be compromised again. With that leads me into the last point here is that Hillary's claiming that she never signed for anything, or she didn't, or she didn't remember getting any security briefs. That is complete and utter horse hockey. From the first day that I entered officer candidate school with the Navy, I immediately had papers shoved under my nose, especially regarding this subject. Every year, I have to sign training. I have to take training and I have to sign it, acknowledging that I've been trained on how to properly handle sensitive information and material, how to be wary of spies, phishing scams. I mean, the whole gamut of security issues, electronic and otherwise. Every year, I have to take this. In fact, I'm coming up because the new fiscal year, I have to retake it again, and it's insultingly boring. But it goes down to the very point of, you see someone at the door trying to get in. They say they've lost their security badge. What do you do? Well, the proper answer is you call security. It's down to that level of detail. So, and it doesn't matter where you're at. If you have a security clearance, it doesn't matter what security clearance you have, whether it's confidential, security, top secret, doesn't matter. You have to sign for any and every training that you get. And you are not allowed to do anything until you have signed those documents. It is absolutely imperative, and I am trying to make this as clear as possible. It is absolutely imperative for anybody with a security clearance to sign an acknowledgement that they have been properly trained on how to handle sensitive information, what to do if they find that information material left unattended, and what the consequences are if they should leave that sensitive material out for others to get, unauthorized personnel to get, or what should happen if it should fall into the hostile actor's hands, or our enemy, or whoever shouldn't have it. Hillary is a liar up and down on this issue here, and I wanted to give you, like I said, an insider's look into this. For me to have gotten my secret clearance, I had to go through an extensive background check. They went back 10 years of my life to verify that I was who I said I was, that my family didn't have any terrorist ties, I didn't have any terrorist ties, I didn't have any foreign interest, everything like that. And then at my 5-year mark, I was re-examined again, this time going up for TSSCI. And again, it was another 10 years back in my life. I had to sit down and do an interview with the background checker, and had to explain certain things. Like, for example, it came up that I couldn't remember one of the addresses where I lived at. And the reason for it is because I was just running a room out from some guy's house at the time that I was in between being deployed and then moving out to an overseas base. So I didn't feel the need to sign a lease for an apartment, so I just looked in the one ad, saw somebody was renting the room out, so I went and got that. But I forgot what the address was. I told her I could point it out to a map because I drove to it so much that it became almost second nature to me, once I got off of the exit, that I could drive there, with my eyes closed. And it was that, that scrutinizing, that because I couldn't remember exact details about the house I lived in, the exact address, and who the owner of the house was, that they had to, this was brought up in my interview. It is a very scrutinizing, a very tightly knit, tightly wound world. I mean, look at what happened a couple weeks ago or last week. A Navy sailor got 1 to 2 years time in prison for taking a photo on a submarine. For one photo, this kid is going to prison. He's lost his security clearance, and he's gonna have a felonious record the rest of his life. I hope that this video will give you guys enough information, enough material to be able to go out to those people that don't understand the severity of this issue and why it is that we need to hold Hillary Clinton accountable for her actions. It's not just the pay-for-play thing. It's not just the fact that she was trying to hide. It's the fact that she broke the law. She had an unauthorized server where she transmitted secret and top secret and confidential information. Even if she says that she didn't know, that is no excuse. The sailor that's in jail now, he didn't think that what he did was wrong. He didn't think it was going to be a problem. No, the law is explicitly clear. It doesn't matter if you know about the material or not. If you are transiting it, you are going to be treated the same as if you did know. Ignorance is not an excuse. And I've seen it happen. Again, going back to my first ship here, somebody left a top secret space open. Nobody knew where the guy was, but immediately the ship went on lockdown, and for the whole rest of the week, there was an investigation. Who had access to that space? Who went into that space when the guy stepped out? Why did he step out? What did he take any materials with him? They did a complete inventory, top, bottom, left to right, of every piece of paper and document that was in that space. They interviewed everybody that had anything to do with that space. It was really a rough week for that team, but also for the rest of the ship, because everybody had to be interviewed. And even the team members that claimed, hey, I had nothing to do with this, they could have faced trouble. They could have been put in trouble because they didn't properly train their teammates to properly handle sensitive material, regardless of what their station on the ship was. It's insane just how strict and scrutinizing this field is. So, use this information, ladies and gentlemen. Spread this around. Let people know that this isn't just a made-up witch hunt against Hillary Clinton. This is a legitimate issue. The people need to know that what she did was a felony. That anybody else that had done even a smidget, if I had done even just one email like that, I might be talking to you from Leavenworth right now. It is that important. Please, people, spread this around. We need to let people know that what she did is a crime. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. You have my permission to share this video with whomever or wherever. I don't care, just get this word out. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Find me on YouTube, find me on Facebook, Athanasius. Find me at Twitter, Athanasius Rep. And I will see you guys on the next vlog. Christ peace upon you all.